In those primitive times when men and dragons were enemies, former adventurers betrayed their original guild to serve a dragon. Keeper of the dragon's castle, you fight the adventurers who assail the dragon. You move the dragon to collect the tiles, positive or negative depending on your original guild, to give to your neighbor. You will have to position the dragon wisely, keep an eye on your treasure, and not forget the tribute to the dragon. The basic equipment is composed of 3 boards to set up using the lid and the bottom of the box, along with 8 cylinders in the corner of each board, 1 dragon figurine, 24 treasure tokens. There are also 4 original guild tiles. These guilds are the adventurers' tiles that the players will try to not collect during the game. A room color and tiling corresponds to each guild. Although you now side with the dragon, you'd prefer to not capture adventurers from your own guild. There are also 75 adventurer tiles with room colors, corresponding to each guild, and with different values. These tiles represent the adventurers you must capture. Some tiles have a special action. Build a staircase tile in the center of the middle and of the upper level boards. Then place randomly the adventurer tiles on the 3 boards. Deal an original guild tile to each player who looks at it secretly. Each player gets 4 treasures. The dragon is placed on the staircase. Player 1 begins. He moves the dragon in direction 1 as indicated on the board and chooses 1 tile from that row. He keeps its face up in front of him. Then he moves the dragon in direction 2 and gives a tile to the player on his right. Then player 2 moves the dragon. When you give a tile with a value of 3, 4, 5, or 6, you win a treasure. The tiles are arranged to form 1 stack per guild without changing the order. As soon as a player cannot take or give a tile, the level is over. Depending on the tiles remaining on the board, the players must pay treasure tokens. 0 token for no tile, 1 token for 1 to 5 tiles, 2 tokens for 6 to 8 tiles, 3 tokens for 9 tiles, and more. The player who takes the last tile of the level pays 1 additional token. If a player cannot pay, he is eliminated from the game. You must also pay the treasure at the last level. You remove the finished board and the following level begins. The dragon is placed in the middle of the board. The first player is the player who got the staircase from the previous level. If the staircase had not been collected, the player who took the last tile from the previous level plays first. These actions are always optional. Actions are immediately executed when the player takes the tile, except the release action. However, when a player receives a tile from another player, he doesn't execute the action, except the release action. The player moves into the secret passage. He discards the tile and moves, then gives a tile to his neighbor and repeats his move. He then takes a tile. If it's an action tile, he performs the action, unless if it's a secret passage. The player can exchange the action tile for an adventurer tile from the top of the deck of one of his opponents. If the tile is another action tile, the action is not performed unless it's a release tile. The player discards the remote trap tile and takes any other tile available on the board. If this tile is another action tile, the action is not performed unless it's a release tile. Remember, the action is not performed if the tile is given. At the end of the game, after the tribute and before the scoring, a player can discard the release tile as well as one of the adventurer tiles from his original guild. A release tile which had been given as a tribute cannot be used. The game ends at the end of the third level. After the treasure tokens have been paid, each player discards all the tiles from his highest stack. In this example, player 1 chooses to keep the stack with a release tile. If this stack is your original guild, you must also discard your second highest stack. In this example, player 2 chooses to keep the stack with the more points. Each player can use his remaining release tiles, if he still has some after having paid the tribute, to free prisoners from his original guild. Tiles from the original guild are negative points, and the other adventurers' tiles are positive points. The player who managed to keep the most treasures gets a 2-point bonus. The player with the most points wins the game. In case of a draw, there are several winners. Dragon Keeper is an Elo Peli game for 2 to 4 players. Average play duration is 25 minutes.